Hey guys, what's up? Brian Savage here with you, and it's going to be the second video on the kit that I got from thefretwire.com. And I spoke in the unboxing a little bit about what I was going to do with it and what I plan to do with it, but you never know. Things like this don't always work out like you plan. As I plan on dyeing the wood on the top and the back and giving it a paint around the side and letting the binding show. But I got some things I need to address with this, and I've already done some work on this, some preliminary work on it off camera. The work that you put in now before you do anything is going to mean more in the end product than all the work you do doing everything else. And it's all the prep work. Small things like, I don't know if you'll be able to make it out here. Probably not. But if you look around this F-hole, when they routed it out, especially on the inside, it's kind of fuzzy. It's fuzzy on the edge. If you could see if I can shed some light on this. Maybe too much. Can you see how there's all those little vertical sanding lines in that? I think, yeah, you can make them out really good there. Okay. Now, if I was going to paint it, I'd probably just give it a once over with 150, a good once over it with 220, and paint away. But since I'm going to dye the wood, every little sanding mark that you have is going to show. So I'm going to take the back and the front, the top and the back, I'm going to take all the way down to 400 grit. And that is a ways down. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you, when you go around these F-holes, I have some kind of wore down. This is 150, but it's a very wore 150, so it's very pliable. And I'm not putting any pressure. I don't want to really change the shape. I just want to take the fuzz off the edge of the wood from the tooling marks, basically. That's all I want to do in this area here. Now in this long portion, sweeping portion of it, this is fairly easy to do, even with big old paws like I got. Like I said, the lightest of pressure. Inside these holes and these curves, on the outside top edge, it's pretty easy. I can just kind of roll the sandpaper a little bit where it just adapts to the space. Again, lightest of pressure. Easy movements. I don't want to change anything. I definitely don't want to sand hard enough to catch a piece of the grain, because it is ply, 3-ply. So it would splinter up. If I'm going against the grain, it could splinter up and cause a little spot that would show so bad when I stain this. And again, for a kit that I believe it's $119 or $110. It's less than $150 for sure for this kit. When I first got it, was first going to do this, I figured I would not be able to do anything crazy with dyes or stains, that I would simply just spray it a solid, give it the old traditional seafoam green or something, maybe at best be able to give it a burst and do like the Wayland burst. So there. No more fuzzies around the hole. On the underside of these, I still have a little bit of fuzz. And this is what I use. I've got like half round, and I'm sorry you can't make these things out. It's rounded over on this side, it's flat on this side, little rat tail file, and this side of it doesn't even have teeth on it, it's just the rounded side that does. I'm not going to use the file teeth. I'm going to use it with this little piece of sandpaper here wrapped around it. To go to the underside of this F-hole. I'm going to put a good little chamfer of an angle to it. Main reason being, one, you can't see it, and two, with this chamfer, it's going to make it look thinner around the F-hole. So that is a good thing. And I'm going to go all the way around this on the underside, all the way through. All the way around the F-hole, I'm going to do that. And I'll finish that up off camera here. Also around the pickup holes, with my hand here, I'm just going to ever so slightly. Now this part is even covered by the pick guard. Though that part's covered up by the pick guard, but I still want to do it because as I'm working on this body, as I'm going to be finished sanding the top, if I give this edge a little chamfer, you know, just a little bit of taking the very edge off of this, as I pass over with sandpaper in long strokes with the grain to get it just all the sanding marks out of it. I don't want any of my materials to catch on this because, you know, I use things like scuff pads, and so any of these holes and any place like that, I don't want any of the splinters that might be drawn up from the machining of it to catch, because again, this is small plywood on top. It's 3-ply, it's a very thin layer, and it would splinter so very easily if I caught it with sandpaper or scuff pad or anything like that. So around the neck pocket, again, ever so slightly around the neck pocket, I'm going to do the same thing. It's also going to leave a little room for where my finish is going to build up on that edge as well, to give me something to maybe sand back a little bit if I need to. I go over top every single screw hole. Again, even though the screw holes are covered, I'm going over top these screw holes, taking out any chance of any of the machining that's pulled part of it up. And if you look down in these screw holes, you can see where it's little wood splinters in it and things. And those are also sticking up ever so slightly too, because it does bubble up the outside of that hole when you drill a hole. So each one of these holes I go over, and again, this is with the 150. It's just a small little piece here, and it's pretty wore down, so I'd say it's more like probably 200, 220. And you could do this with 220, no problem. In fact, this top is good enough that we'll go around the inside of this. The top's good enough, finished sanded, that I will probably do a little bit on a 150, an ever so slight on a 150, because there is a couple little nick marks along this edge here, right in here. You wouldn't be able to see them on camera. I can barely see them unless I get the light just right. But when I die it, they're going to go, ping, here I am. That, again, is why you spend so much time in this step. Not changing the profile of the wood. I am taking just the very top edge off of all these holes, all these cavities, even where the wire comes through for your ground or earth or wherever you're from. See, like right there, it caught a little bit of that. Use this file point again. There we go. There we go. Just because I can't get the sandpaper in there. And I want to be ever so light. This is a very, very fine tooth file. Sandpaper just wasn't cutting it. And we'll leave it at that. Alright, so I hope that helps you out there. On these sides here where I'm painting it, and this is where it is really got a lot of sanding marks, tooling marks left in it all the way around this edge. I'm starting with 120 and using a mouse router with 120 on it all the way around this edge. Being real careful not to get into the binding. This binding's just a plastic, so being real careful not to get into that as I'm sanding this down. Just take your time, go through your grits. Again, feel, look, feel, and if you can't see, take it outside in the sunlight. Really look it over, every little inch of it. You want this thing to be, if you're going to do like I am and go with a stain or a dye to where you're going to let the grain show through, it really shows every little detail in that wood. And every little detail also means every little imperfection. Every little imperfection it's going to see. And as you sand, the more you see, the more you find, the more sanding you're going to do. Sanding is going to be what you do more than anything else. It's probably going to take the most of your time up. I did some on the neck. I went ahead and finished out and flattened off, completely flattened off this pocket here. Flat as a flitter all the way through. It was crowned, or a hump in the middle there. And flat, square, thickness all the way at each screw hole, all the same. We got it good there. So anyway, next time you see it, I'll have this finished sanded, and I think the next thing I'm going to video is drawing out and cutting out the headstock shape we're going to make. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do a F-type. I don't think so. I think I'm going to do something a little different. Epiphone used to do a T-type guitar, and they had a weird looking, what they call the batwing headstock, and I might try that, routing it, giving it a step profile. So we'll see. Not sure yet. And that's the beautiful thing about these. You get to make up your mind as you go along, and sometimes as you go along you have a plan, and don't be afraid to change directions. Like I said, I may get this thing dyed and it just not look up to par, and I ended up taping it off and spray the whole thing a solid color. You never know. And you got to be flexible like that. But have a direction on what you want to do, but be willing to, if it doesn't work out, to let it go in whatever direction it has to. Till next time, guys, share the music, share the love. Peace out.